And that's most likely because when Earth is in the spring part of our orbit around the sun is when that object is on that side of the sun. This was the big Japanese earthquake here. That one, and there were so many aftershocks that it just jacked this number so far up here. This earthquake and the one in Chile both shifted the Earth's axis. The Earth's axis is already going through a shift. A little bit here, a little bit there. The main one won't come until the object's gravity grabs Earth and flips our axis. Probably about 2,000 miles. Dr. Charles Hapgood wrote a book titled Earth's Shifting Crust, where he promoted the theory that Earth's crust would break free from the mantle and slip around the globe, putting the continents in new areas. The fundamental problem with this theory is that it does not account for the Egyptians' use of the 360-day calendar before the last catastrophic event 3,600 years ago. Man was not stupid back then, and if they used a 360-day calendar, that means the Earth's orbit around the Sun was 360 days. Something inspired the Earth's orbit to change from 360 days to 365 1/4 days. This was most likely caused by an object in space tugging on Earth and pulling our planet away from the Sun a little bit. Just like the object caused a dimple in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune, it will cause a dimple in the orbit of Earth. Here's a little demonstration that I devised to show you the principles of how an object in space could cause an axis shift. Here's a magnetic demonstration of how an incoming body can actually flip the axis of the planet Earth. Okay, here you have, what I've done is I have styrofoam, little styrofoam balls here. This is the Sun, that's the Earth. And what I've done is I've taken very powerful magnets and put them into the Earth and into the star. Okay, now imagine that Earth is just sitting there, going along, and then this object comes by. And what happens? The Earth's axis follows that object. Let's see that again. As the object comes around the Sun, its gravitational pull grabs the Earth. It basically, the North Pole of the heavy dense object is going to grab a hold of the South Pole of Earth, just like I showed you in this demonstration, and it's going to flip the Earth's axis. A crustal shift, as proposed by Dr. Charles Hapgood, would have no effect on the orbital time frame of Earth. It was a good theory to document the rise and fall of civilizations, but without all the variables involved, it'd be hard to come to the proper conclusions. Many of you are already aware of the strange circumstances surrounding the Denver New World Airport. It does not really take a genius to realize that spending $5 billion on an airport is way over any rational airport budget. Not to mention the crazy murals, that it was constructed a mile above sea level, behind the tallest mountain range in the continental United States, that the runways form a swastika, that the access roads form a giant phallus and testicles, that it's called the New World Airport, there is a time capsule, and it has the stamp of the Freemasons. There are gargoyles sticking their tongues out at you. They erected a giant statue of Anubis, the Egyptian god of death in the underworld. And that when you enter the airport, you pass by a giant statue of the horse of the apocalypse, whose sculptor was coincidentally killed by his own horse sculpture right before they hauled it over to the airport and propped it up. What I do want to mention is the other obvious preparations being instituted by China. China has gone and built several ghost cities that could house millions and millions of people, but yet they remain empty. We're going to take a look at one of those particular cities, Ordos. Let's investigate its architecture, its symbolism, and its location. Here's a story in the UK Mail Online. Chinese ghost towns. New satellite pictures show massive skyscraper cities which are still completely empty. Now if you look here, you have these vast cities that are totally empty. Nobody lives in these cities. There are a couple maintenance people that are there to keep the places up, but these places, and here's a reservoir. Look at these places. Look at that. Look at the architecture. Now isn't that spooky? Seeing a giant city with sky, you know, big tall buildings, big tall 30-story buildings that are completely empty. It's like something out of a science fiction post-apocalyptic movie. Look at the architecture involved in these places. You're going to see some amazing things here. So let's close this out. Now we're in Google Earth. And this is the horse, the Denver horse. You see its shadow here. Here's the horse. This is its shadow. Looks like it's on some sort of sundial type of platform. Now we're going to go to one of the cities called Ordos, Inner Mongolia, China. Okay. Well, the first thing I want to show you is where it's located. Okay, you'll notice it's far from the ocean, and it's at 4,500 feet, almost a mile, 4,600 feet. Look at the distance. Or right here, okay, right here. The distance to the ocean, approximately 500 miles. So it's a good distance away from the ocean. Now we're going to go ahead and check it out. There's some amazing stuff here. Okay. Now if you look, you'll notice it forms a giant scepter. Starting here, all the way down here. This whole thing forms a giant scepter. We're going to explore the whole area. For one, if you notice, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 reservoirs in the area. So they're well stocked up for water. We're going to start down at the very bottom here and go from top to bottom. I don't know exactly what this is, but it looks like a giant solar array. And you'll notice the amazing architecture. This stuff didn't come cheap. This isn't slapped together. This is very well constructed, you can tell. But a lot of planning went into this, where every little tree was supposed to go, where everything, this whole thing was designed very well. Alright, now look at this. Come up here. And there's a statue of something here. Can't see what. Looks like a statue. You'll come up here further. Here's some construction going on. You'll notice no cars on the road. And if you do see a car here and there, remember, something this size has to have a certain amount of support to keep it going. Now this looks like some sort of bird, phoenix, eagle,